Yo, what's going on, everyone? This video is going to be the complete overview for my brand new extension MediaBind that I have just released. I'm going to walk y'all through everything you need to know about it, all the details about it, so you can get to using it and get to editing your videos super quick. On the surface, MediaBind's pretty simple. So you just select something on your timeline, you save it, and then you can reinsert that selection anywhere else. Let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. On my timeline right now, you can see I have 2 adjustment layers, a color adjustment layer, shake adjustment layer, and then 3 sounds. If I go ahead and play this for you guys. Shakes a little bit. Changes the color red. We got a little explosion sound, a little whoosh. And let's say I want to save this so I can insert it anywhere else in any of my projects. I'm going to go ahead and put my playhead at the impact. I'm going to select everything I want saved. And then I'm just going to go to MediaBind over here, click save selection. And just like that, we see a new item has appeared. If I go ahead and open it up, you can see we have our shake adjustment layer, our color adjustment layer, and then all the sounds. And now, if I go somewhere else in my timeline, go over here, let's say, click insert, bang, everything gets inserted. Super cool. If I go ahead and play it, you can see it's just as it was. Everything has their keyframes, all that good stuff. Of course, I can go ahead and click the box right here and then give a keybind for this thing. I'll go ahead and choose Control P. And now Control P is the activated keybind for this selection. If I go over here on my timeline, click Control P, you can see everything gets inserted. If you've noticed up here as well, there's a little color box next to everything we saved. This is going to be the label color for everything before it gets inserted. So you can go ahead and change this. I'll change the shake one to a random color, iris. I'll choose this rose. Just some random colors for all of these. And now when I insert the selection, you'll see everything has their respective color that we just chose in the extension panel. Very importantly as well, if you've noticed, everything's getting inserted where I saved it originally. So if I move my playhead over here to the right of all this stuff, and then I save it again, if I move my playhead over here and I click insert, you'll see everything's to the left of the playhead just as it was when I saved it. This is super useful if you have sounds that build up, effects that build up, and you don't necessarily want it to get inserted at the beginning of the build up. You want it to get inserted at the impact. Super useful for that. Also in the panel, you can go ahead and rename these. I'll rename this one to explosion because that's what I imagine an effect like that would be for. Go ahead, rename this one to test. And then there's also a color box next to the actual name of the selection. This is just for organizational purposes. This has nothing to do with any sort of functionality. You can just select a different color for this. Just, I don't know, maybe I want my explosions to be red. I'll change this one to be mango. It doesn't matter. What's also neat is you can rearrange items in your panel as well. So maybe I want this test one to be all the way at the top here. I can just grab anywhere that's blank, anywhere that's not a button, and I can just click it, drag it up. You'll see a blue lines appearing. I can go ahead and stop clicking it right there and rearrange stuff super easily. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this test one because we don't need it anymore. And now, if you've noticed at the top, we have profile 1. We are in the default profile 1 that MediaBind makes. If we go ahead and click on that, you can see there's a button that says new profile. If I click on that, bang, profile 2, we've made a new profile. We can go ahead and double click this, rename it to whatever we want. I'll rename it to test. And let me go ahead and make a new effect here. I'll just make a little simple zoom. There we go. I've made this super simple zoom real quick. Just slowly zooms in, nothing crazy. If I go ahead and click on this, save it. It's saved in a completely separate profile, completely independent of the first one we made. I can go ahead and insert this. It's just the same old zoom that I just made. And what's neat is because this profile is completely independent of the first one, I can go ahead and assign the same keybind I did for the first one, Control P. And if I press Control P, it's only going to insert the brand new clip I just made. If I go ahead and switch over to the first profile and press Control P, you'll see all of that stuff gets inserted. If you've noticed as well, when I just inserted that, everything that MediaBind inserts is completely non-destructive. It will not overwrite anything in your timeline. You can see these 2 adjustment layers found an empty spot to go on, and this sound effect found an empty spot to go on. It will never overwrite anything on your timeline. I'll talk more about that later because there's a few options you can change with that. But anyways, now that I've made a new profile, if I go ahead and click on the settings button up here, you can see we have a profile section here, and that test and profile 1 profile are here. So you can actually assign a keybind to these individual profiles and press them to switch to them super easily. So I'll assign profile 1 to Control 1 and test to Control 2. And now if I go back and I press Control 2, you'll see we're in the test profile. If I press Control 1, you'll see we're in the profile 1. Super cool. I can press Control P, go to the second profile, press Control P again, different adjustment layer. Now, another super cool thing that MediaBind can do is automatic sound variation. So let's say I have this little explosion thing I made, right? But let's say I don't want the same explosion sound to be in there every single time. Maybe I want to have a little bit of variety. Well, you can import multiple explosion sounds and you can basically tell MediaBind to only pick one of them. So right here, I've imported 3 extra explosion sounds. They're all pretty similar, just slightly different. If I go ahead and highlight everything here and I save it, I'll rename this to explosions variety. And if I open it up, you can see we have all the sounds right here. And if I go ahead and click on this folder icon, it'll create a new group 1. I'll go ahead and rename this to explosions. And now anything that I want to have variety, I can just drag into this group. So I'll just drag in all of these explosion sounds into this group. And now when I go to insert the selection, MediaBind will choose only one sound from within this group to insert. And if I insert this, you'll see right here, we got explosion 5. If I insert it again, This time we got explosion 8. Insert it again. This time we got explosion 6. And you can have more than one group as well. So let's say you want some more sounds randomized. You can just create another group super easily. If I drag in this body sound and this whoosh sound, get rid of everything on the timeline here. Now it'll pick one sound from this explosions group and it'll pick one sound from this group 2. So if I insert it, you'll see we got the whoosh and some random explosion. If I insert it again, this time we got the body sound effect and a different explosion. Now let's go ahead and talk about some more track targeting that MediaBind can do. So right now, by default, MediaBind will always insert on the first available empty track. So if I go ahead and insert this stuff, if I move the playhead just a little bit to the left, you'll see there's an item here. If I were to insert this shake right here, it would override it. So MediaBind will not do that and it'll import it on the first available track, which will be these two. But if I go ahead and insert this selection again, you'll see that everything gets inserted on the first available track. But if you don't want it to be like that, you can change it super easily. Let me show you how. Let's say, for instance, I only want these selections to be inserted on video track 3 and video track 5, let's say. If I just target those tracks right here on the left, now when I insert something, you'll see that the adjustment layers only get inserted on those tracks. I can do the same thing for the audio here. I'll select track number 3, 5, and 6. Now if I insert it, you'll see they only get inserted onto that track. If I go to insert this selection again, since all of the targeted tracks are already filled up, it'll default back to the original first empty track logic. So we'll see an adjustment layer get inserted here, an adjustment layer get inserted here. So if I go ahead and insert this, and if you look right now, there's literally no available video track. But if I go ahead and insert the selection again, you'll see that it'll create some new ones. If we go to the settings here in the MediaBind panel, you can also see we have a checkbox that says insert clips on original track. If we go ahead and turn this on, go back, I'll drag in a new adjustment layer. I'm gonna disable all these track targetings. I'm just gonna make them default. I've made this adjustment layer. I've put it on track number 5. And if I go ahead and save this, when I reinsert it anywhere else, even though by default it would insert it on track number 2, the first available empty track, because I have that checkbox enabled, if I insert the selection, it'll insert it on the original track I saved it on, which is track number 5. If I go into the settings, turn it off, go back, reinsert it, you'll see it'll go back to the default logic. So if you only want certain effects on certain tracks, you can turn that on. It'll be super useful. Also, if we go into the settings, you'll notice here we have an export profile and import profile button. These two buttons do exactly what they sound like. You can export profiles and import them on any other machine. So for instance, if I click on this export profile button, you'll see a new tab will pop up. Select profile to export. I'll go ahead and export profile 1 just for now. If I click on export, we'll see a new dialog box pops up. I'm gonna go ahead and select my profiles folder here. I'm gonna click open or save, and then we'll get an alert that says profile exported successfully too, and then it'll tell you the location right there. Now, I'm fully confident I can delete this profile completely, go back to this test profile, and that profile no longer exists. Profile 1 is completely wiped from MediaBind. It is not in its memory. It is not anywhere. Right here, we only have the test profile. There is nothing else. But if I go to the settings here, click import profile, and I find this profile 1 folder that got exported, we'll see 2 items in here, a profile1.json file and a profile1 media folder. This media folder will contain every single piece of media that was inside of that profile when you saved it. So let's say you work on your PC, you want to send this profile to your laptop that you work on. You can go ahead, zip up these 2 files, send them over to your laptop, and everything will work just fine. But in this instance, I'll just select profile1.json. This is the actual profile data. So this is the one you want to select. You'll click open. You'll see an alert, profile imported successfully. All media is linked. We'll click OK. We'll go back, and if we click on the profile button here, you'll see we have a new profile 1, but it is actually the exact same profile that we have just exported. Now, everything is contained in MediaBind, so you don't have to save anything else. You don't have to open up any new projects, anything like that. So if I go ahead and create a new project, there we go, made a new project. It looks basically the exact same because I just copied over the footage from the first one, but regardless, it is a new project. You can see right here, we're in test sequence. There's nothing else in this project other than the actual sequence and that file. But if I go ahead and go to insert this explosion, you'll see nothing happens. We get an alert that says no adjustment layer found. Please create an adjustment layer in your project. Unfortunately, in the Premiere API, it is not possible for MediaBind to create its own adjustment layer from scratch. So just make sure that if you see this alert, you just create your own adjustment layer. I go ahead and exit out of these real quick, and I create a new adjustment layer. Now, if I press Control P, you'll see everything works just fine. Now, it's very important to keep this adjustment layer name the default adjustment layer name. If you change it, it will not work. If I go ahead and change this name real quick to something else, I'll just rename it test. Now, if I go to insert it, because it's looking for that default name, it will not find it. It'll give you the same alert. So just make sure that when you create your adjustment layer, you leave everything default, because MediaBind will look for the very first adjustment layer in your project named adjustment layer. But yeah, that's pretty much it. MediaBind works with sounds, adjustment layers, obviously, images, videos, black video. Now, unfortunately, there are some limitations because of the Premiere API. So MediaBind cannot save graphics layers. Hey guys, it's me from the future. I just wanted to pop in real quick and say, I made this overview video before I actually implemented that Mogurt feature. You guys actually have a Mogurt button here at the top. You can go ahead and click that, import any Mogurt you want. Whenever you insert the Mogurt, it's always going to get inserted at the very beginning of the playhead. So wherever your playhead is, that's where the Mogurt's going to get inserted. What's really cool is you can right click a text layer in Premiere Pro. You can go ahead and convert that into a Mogurt and then re-import it back into MediaBind. And then you can basically have subtitles at the tips of your fingers, press a button, insert a subtitle. Super, super neat. But yeah, I just want to pop in, let you guys know all that stuff. Because in this section of the video, I said you can't do Mogurts, but that is no longer true. So I just want to clear that up. Anyways, moving on. MediaBind can't save nested sequences. But other than that, everything's free game. Also, unfortunately, MediaBind cannot save Bezier keyframes. Everything that you insert will be linear, unfortunately. So if I change these to be Bezier real quick and I save this selection, if I reinsert it, you'll see the keyframes are there, but if we look, they're back to linear. That's another unfortunate limitation of the Premiere API. They are developing a new platform called UXP, and I've seen plenty of people request that on forums. So hopefully if they add that, that will be something 100% implemented into MediaBind. And the last thing MediaBind cannot do is masks. If you have a mask on your layer, if you have a mask anywhere, it will not save it. So just keep that in mind. Keep in mind as well, whatever keybind you set for your selection, that keybind will not work for anything else while Premiere is open. MediaBind will basically assign that as a global hotkey on your machine, so it will not work while Premiere is open. Once Premiere is closed, it'll work just fine, but just keep that in mind. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys get a lot of use out of MediaBind. I use it on literally every single project that I edit. I find it very, very useful. I know I'm biased. But I swear, I believe it is very, very powerful, and it will make your edits very, very quick. If you've already bought it, thank you so much. If you haven't yet, it's available on my website at hproductions.com. I've also got some other stuff on my website. I've got some Mogurts. I also have some free MediaBind profile packs that you can download and import into your extension. If you find any bugs or if you have any suggestions, please either DM me on Twitter or go to the support page on my website. Go ahead, leave a ticket. Go ahead, let me know what your thoughts are, any suggestions, all that stuff. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you. Bye.